Hey Bobby, it was after the second period. Toronto's up 4-3 over the Bruins, game seven. I'm like, Leafs can't possibly blow this. And then I got reminded of a book I had squirreled away in the basement. I went down, I looked for it, and I found it. It's called Why the Leafs Suck and How They Can Be Fixed. And it's by, I'm sure, one of your favorite authors, Al Strachan. And yeah, that's meant to be sarcastic. And then, go back to the game. It's whining. I'm like, 4-3. Leafs are up. They can't blow this, right?
It will be the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. A seventh game win at home by Boston. Final score 7-4 Bruins.
Yeah, sorry about that, Bobby. So Toronto lost the series 4 games to 3 to Boston. I'm a New York Islanders fan. I lived in Buffalo, New York for about 13 years, so I've got no love for the Leafs. As far as Boston goes, there are some nice VC members in Boston, so I don't want to expose my true feelings about the city of Boston right here. But suffice it to say, when asked who I would rather see win the series, you know, I was rooting for both teams to die in a plane crash, but that didn't happen. Anyway, until the Leafs can find Bill Barilko, Bobby, it ain't happening. Hey there, folks. My name's Tom. You're watching High Rant District. The real reason for this video is I wanted to do a video response to a video that James Griffiths posted earlier today called When Bands Become Brands. The gist, and he was actually making a response to, I believe it's Vinyl Collector James, who did a little bit of a rant video about Fleetwood Mac supposedly firing Lindsey Buckingham. I didn't even know Fleetwood Mac was still a band, that they were still around. But James Griffiths was talking about when does a band become a brand. In other words, his take was when band members are replaced, has the band and you bring in other people, is it still the original band kind of, or does it become a brand? Talking about Black Sabbath as an argument, who as they change lead singers, Queen, who else was he talking about? It's all kind of a blur. Sorry, I still got hockey on the brain here. I watched James's video earlier. So anyway, when does a band become a brand? There are some bands that are quite obviously brands, and when I say that, I think of a band like Kiss, where the band members are not, at least initially, known by their name. They're known by the character they play on stage. And so, when Kiss went about changing band members, it didn't bother me. To be fair, I'm not the biggest Kiss fan. I like a lot of their songs, but I'm not avid about collecting their records. I might have one or two. Another band where the band members are essentially characters and the players have changed somewhat over the years. It's a band that I really love. That's Gwar. And usually when a band changes members, I'm pretty much, that's not the same band anymore. But, Gwar just tickles me. I think they're fantastic. This probably has a lot to do with my love of, monsters, monster movies, and science fiction, and Gwar, and, heavy, hard, loud music, and And war just plays to all of that. But then you think a band that that I really love, that's not a set of characters. Look at the Clash. When that last studio album was put out by what I call half a Clash, where two band members were fired and replaced by some other guys. I don't own that album. To me, that's not the Clash. Not to say I'll never own the album. If I come across it, dirt cheap, in good condition, I might grab it. But I'm not a completist, for the most part. So I don't have to, my loyalty really is to the album by a band and not necessarily the band itself. And this kind of plays into a different take. Before I watched James's video earlier today, when bands become brands, and I'll link to that below, his original video, so you can see it. In my head, I wasn't even thinking about people, band members being replaced. And I'm going to sidetrack for a second, talking about geezer rock. These bands that have been around forever and have just maybe one or two original members left, and they go on tour or put out a new album. It's really not for me. I get why they do it. People need to make money, you need to earn a living, and that's cool. It's just when they go on these geezer cash-in tours, it's just not for me. It's really about those guys and gals making some money, and I get that. It's just not going to be my money. But anyway, when a band becomes a brand, my take on it is different. I think it might sound a little weird, but I think after the third album or so, a band has become a brand, unless their sound evolves and changes. Because I think when a new band comes out, like that first album, that debut album, if it's a good band, that debut album is going to be killer, because you've got these guys and gals that have spent their life, everything they have is poured into that first album. And then to a lesser degree, the second and third albums, generally can still be fresh and imaginative. But a lot of times, if they've had, if they've been able to put out 3 albums and they're still together, and all those 3 albums kind of sounded the same, they've kind of, and they're going to put out more albums after that sounds the same. They've become a brand. They have figured out a formula, a music formula, figured out what works, figured out how they can make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. People have to make a living. But it's like, and I'm not a hardcore Iron Maiden fan. I dig Iron Maiden, but how many albums do they have out? How very different, how evolved has the sound become over the years of those Iron Maiden albums. They have a brand. Eddie's kind of the brand, and they're just playing to that. It's a formula. That's the sound from album to album. Album to me is very similar. The band members, their management, they know it works. It's a brand. So, and this kind of relates to so much of how I collect. I'm not a completist, and for a lot of bands, that I dig, I usually have just the first couple albums, and then especially, if band members have changed or the sound is not really evolving, think of the Descendants. I don't grab those later albums, so I think it's after a band has put out 3 albums, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. And they've just found their niche, and they found their sound, and they know it works. And that sound is essentially a formula that's carried forward throughout all their subsequent albums. That, to me, is when the band has become a brand, and that's really kind of where I lose interest. Anyway, good question. Maybe not the direction you were looking for there, James, but figured I'd make a video response and send my condolences to Bobby. And I guess congratulations to, Boston Rob, Helmut Diggy. I don't know. I'm not even sure if you like sports. Anybody up in that Boston, New England area. Congratulations if you're a Bruins fan, and I hope you lose in the next round. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.